Hello everyone, this is Caroline and today's class is the Healers Program series number 7. If you are here for the first time, make sure you have taken classes 1 to 6 because we are learning, this is a ongoing class and the information continues from session to session, so please make sure you are learning this information in a chronological manner. Before we begin, I just wanted to remind everyone about the format. I will share the new information first for this class, and then we will have some question and answers, and then we will practice experiential time to practice the information on ourselves and then on each other. So let's go ahead and get started. So here we go. Again, the theme of this method is truly to understand how the blocks are created. If we truly know how it's created, then we know exactly how to reverse them. So in this class, we're going to work on reversing blocks with geometry. We're going to understand, hopefully, the difference between planetary, galactic, and universal geometry. And we're going to practice using the 3 methods we've learned so far: ask and intend, light, and geometry through remote healing. So we've talked about the Omnium method having different techniques mixed together because every block, every person has a unique way to undo the block. We're not adding information to the cell. The block is new information that was added to the cell. And so what we're doing with this method is undoing. And the tool of geometry is very unique. You will see how different it is and how appropriate it's going to be for certain situations, certain cases. Let's define what geometry is. It's the branch of mathematics that is concerned with size and proportions. Of course, we're talking about the physical world, meaning the 3D shapes, how shapes and size and proportions are manifested here in a 3D way in our material reality. We're not talking about mind energy, for example, or spirit energy. We're talking about physical energy. But shape begins at a very, very small scale, even at a subatomic level. But since, you know, it's easy to demonstrate at the atomic level how it is, I'm just going to show you. We all know that we are made with chemical components. You know, we know that because when we get a blood test, we can see all of these chemical components, you know, on the test. And we know that in our body, in our cells, there are tiny molecules of chemistry, of course, and so we know that our cells are made with these chemical components. So I just picked these 4 for now, just to give you an idea of what I'm trying to demonstrate here. So as you look at one molecule of hydrogen, for example, if you were to zoom in, the hydrogen, the little circles that you see around is the electrons. Just don't worry about the technical stuff right now. But the point that I want to make here is that the hydrogen atom has an actual shape. It actually looks hexagonal, you know, I keep going back and forth. The sodium, for example, if you were to look very closely, if you had if you zoomed in, you will see that it has a size, it has a shape that is cubic. Same with calcium, although this is called face-centered cubic, and the oxygen also has another type of cubic shape. This means that at an atomic level, we are already made with these different shapes. Of course, the chemical table is very big, so I just picked a few, and these are the most common shapes that exist within our cells. And of course, each one, being energy, has a different vibration. This means that not only the energy of this chemical component has a different vibration, but this means that its corresponding shape will also have a different vibration, you see. And so if we were to take all these little chemical components and put them together, align them in a certain way, maybe stack them up, organize them, take a certain number of certain chemical components and put them all together, we end up creating a cell. So what this means is that our physical cells are already made with tiny, tiny, tiny little shapes. Now, these shapes and proportions, of course, continue on from the cell to the organ, logically. So if the cell is made with all these chemical components, of course, depending on the type of cell, for example, this little drawing that you see on the right side of your screen, one has a nucleus and the other cell does not have a nucleus. This means that depending on the type of cell, the type of chemical components that make up the cell, the number of chemical components, the way they were stacked up together will give this particular cell a certain shape, and if you put billions of these same shapes together, you end up having an organ that looks like this. So there's a reason why the heart looks like that, the lungs look like that, have this particular shape, the stomach looks like that, or the intestines. It is not an accident that these are physical bodies, organs look specifically like this, because they are made with components that are shaped in this manner, you see. So what this means is that if you were to zoom in to every organ and you had that sort of vision, you will see that you are endlessly made up with these tiny shapes that are interconnected and that continue to co-create together, coexist together endlessly. So it's really not an accident that these shapes were put together, and certainly you had to know how to stack them up and put them together, and how many in each organ had to be put together so that we end up looking like the way we do, carrying a human form that looks like the way it is right now. So all of this is not an accident. It's very purposeful. The particular shape of the organ gives it a particular vibration. We talked about vibration in the first class, right? And this vibration is, of course, carried into the whole body. If each organ has a shape which has a vibration, then you put all the organs together, and now the entire body has a particular shape and a particular vibration. And if you were to look even more than the physical body and you looked at the energy field, you will see that the whole energy field has also a shape. Do you see how that makes so much sense, that you start on a subatomic level with a shape, and of course you end up being, your entire being is a shape. And so this shape has a purpose. It's not thrown together, like I said earlier. Not only that it's not thrown together for your own physical body, but it is purposeful in relation with the rest of creation. It's not just about your organs fitting perfectly in your body, but it's about also your body functioning within the scope of creation. So this is where the purpose of proportion is very, very specific. You will notice that the tiny shapes fit in the larger shapes. Not only do they fit in the larger shapes, but they fit in the larger shapes in a very, very specific manner. As you can see the Russian dolls here, the small one fits in the little larger one with the little larger one, so on and so forth. If the smaller one or the middle one had a wrong shape or it was sideways, then the whole Russian doll system or what have you will not work out. So it's very, very specific. Not only does the small one has to fit with the bigger one, but in addition to this, they all have to be what we call coherent. Coherence in a mathematical way means that the waves, I'm not going to get into too technical here, but this means that the waves of one shape are coherent with the other, another shape. I mean, it's too complicated to go into those details. But if I were to send a signal from one shape that is contained within another one, then I will see that it could continue all the way because of this coherence. This means that the smaller shape of my being, the 0 point, all of these tiny little access points in my energy field in my physical body are perfectly aligned with the 0 points of this shape. And when I talk about 0 point, I talk about these vertex points. You see? There's the faces and there are vertex points right here. So the 0 point in my energy field matches or find its way at the 0 point, aligned with the 0 point of the energy field, of course, of the grid system of the planet, which then fits within the galactic energy field, let's call it. Of course, this is in terms of grid system. All the 0 points align all the way to the universe. And that is the way the entire physical universe, now we're talking about the physical matter, the physical world, that's how it is all held together. Not only is it held together, but the information can then travel from point A at any point within the universe all the way to the center. That's how it fits. That's how it's held together in a physical manner, and that's how within that physical structure then it is all going to work out and align the 0 points together. So here you are on the Earth with your energy field and your 0 point. Your energy field is absolutely coherent and fits perfectly within the geometry, the geometric shape of the Earth, for example, which then fits within the galactic configuration, structure, physical structure, all the 0 points, all these tiny little vertex points that you see here are aligned together, which of course then fits with a massive universal structure. And even though you are still on the Earth down here, because of this very the coherence of these structures, then all of the information that you send or that you receive, of course, vice versa, are happening, and your physical body is held in place, so to speak, within the creation mold because of this physical structure. So you see that your physical body is extremely purposeful, the way it looks. There's a reason why you have a head in that size and arms of that size and legs and what have you. It's because of this symmetry and this coherence, and all of this has to do with geometry. So really, geometry is really the base of holding the structure of the universe. It's really, really fascinating. You can learn a lot about geometry, of course, but here we're talking about geometry as it relates to healing, because we're talking about healing in this course. So, but if you understand the importance of what geometry really is or what it does on that bigger scale, then you understand how important it is and how you can use it in a healing setting. So, healing with geometry. First of all, let's see, what are the effects? Why would we use a shape rather than sound or rather than color, for example, to heal something? Because the effect of a shape is very unique. It does something very, very particular. When you put a particular shape next to an energy field, it makes it very solid. It gives it it sets it in a particular positioning, so to speak. Also, because the energy field contains so much information. I'm sorry, the geometric structure contains all of the information of all of the elements that's in it. Remember, all of the tiny little molecules that make up the organ, that make up the body, that make up the bigger structure. Well, this means that the structure contains all of the information that's within it. So therefore, when you use geometry for healing, then you are bringing a huge amount of information that is contained within that particular shape. So it's a very, very important and very unique way of using this method. Also, when you use geometry, it gives a very grounding feeling, a very solid feeling. Again, it's as if you are setting a whole structure around you that will solidify and ground you into that structure. And because of that, your energy could be flying around all over the place. That's why it brings a sense of clarity. It holds you in a particular position. It really allows you to feel more empowered and clear. And of course, because of that, and because of the alignment of all the 0 points, then of course, this allows you to open your channels and to reconnect. The cons, of course, I don't think it's con, it's just whenever it's not appropriate, is when you're needing a lot of details for a particular healing. You are wanting to decipher, for example, or identify a very particular let's say a root cause or something as you are doing the healing. And so if you're doing geometry, which contains a lot of information, you may not be able to get there, or it may not be the appropriate method to get there. Also, what happens if you're just using geometry, it doesn't necessarily bring up the root cause. And if that is the thing that the person is holding on to, then of course it is not the method that's appropriate for that. So this is to tell you that it's not that it's a negative thing, it's just it means that in those cases you don't use geometry. And I hope you're noticing by now that the reason why I'm showing you these things is for you to begin to understand that you don't use geometry for everything. That's why people, for example, who have methods who just put shapes and, for everything. It doesn't work for everything. It doesn't, sound doesn't work for everything. Light doesn't work for everything. So which works for what, let's say? What are the basic shapes right now that we need to begin to use and understand their typical effects on the cell or on the body? So the ones that are most commonly used for the healing effects is the bipyramid shape. And this shape gives you a sense of connection. It really holds you in a very connected, aligned place. The hexagonal bipyramid also is very strengthening, very aligning. And of course, by the way, all of this will begin to register and you'll start to get used to using these things. The cube, for example, is very grounding. You will feel very suddenly grounded when you use that shape. The cylinder is very aligning, flowing, and of course, the connection happens there as well. The sphere is very balancing. So again, these are just very typical effects, very general effects, and you will see that, of course, it changes every now and then. As always, I don't want you to memorize it because you have to be really present in the moment and feel it out. What happens, what you need in one particular case with one particular client to ground them may be a cube, but for somebody else, it may be the sphere. So please make sure you are still in the moment. So in the case of healing, though, I have to explain something very unique, very particular, is that you don't need to bring the universal multidimensional geometry to access universal geometry, meaning I showed you earlier that the shapes, the geometry that are planetary, that exists on the Earth, continue to become more multidimensional as you go into the universe, meaning you have three-dimensional geometry on the Earth, you also have more. There's 10-dimensional geometry. They're getting to visualize even more. I think they will arrive to eventually 32-dimensional geometry. They can't draw them quite yet, but it's getting there. But the idea is you don't have to bring 192,000 dimensional geometry in the case of healing. Why? Meaning you don't have to reach that far to bring that massive shape necessarily. First of all, if you need it, it will come to you, but usually you don't. Why? Because as I said earlier, if you are working with the planetary geometry and shapes, and you are aligning the 0 points correctly, this opens you up all the way to all multidimensional geometry within the universe. So, for example, in the case of light, I'm going to teach you specific galactic and universal frequencies of light that you can use for healing. But in the case of geometry, using the proper geometry to open up and line up your entire energy field geometry will give you access to all geometry. So, we talked about the different shapes that have a different effects, the bipyramid or the cylinder or the sphere. But make sure you realize that cylinder does not mean any cylinder. For example, if you have a cylinder that's, 2 feet wide or a little larger around someone, it's going to have a particular vibration, right? But if you still use a cylinder that's a little bit larger, then that's going to have a different vibration. Not because it's a cylinder that it's going to have the same vibration. So even though the cylinder has a flowing effect, but being 2 feet in diameter and being 8 feet in diameter is not the same thing. It's not the same effect. Similarly, if it's a very small, thin, narrow cylinder, the effect is going to be different. And needless to say, if you fill it with different colors, also it's going to have a different effect. And of course, the same thing, let's say that these are just examples. I'm using a sphere around someone's, let's say, heart area or what have you. It's only 2 or 3 feet wide. Well, that's going to have a particular vibration, therefore a particular effect. But if I put the entire person in the same color sphere, that is going to have a different vibration, therefore a different effect. And if I change the color, then of course I am going to have a different vibration. All this to say, and again, this confirms that not all cylinders are going to do the same thing. Not all spheres are going to do the same thing. The idea is you have to be accurate. You have to be focused in the moment at this particular time. What does this particular client, this particular organ, this particular block require? Is it a cylinder? Okay. If so, how wide? What color? How high? All of that is going to change the vibration that you're giving to this particular organ, you see. So I'm giving you this information to make sure that you're not generalizing and you're not saying, oh, just use a sphere to do this, just use that to do that. One size fits all doesn't really work. All right, so let's look at some visuals here. We're holding a bipyramid around the liver of this person. The effect of geometry is that it reprograms an entire belief system simply by being there. So you hold this geometric shape around the liver, for example, in this particular case. And not only do you dissolve the block, but you put in the new block instantaneously. You see how the new belief system, I'm whole and complete, just simply popped up. So geometry is very unique in this way because you are, like I said, it contains so much information. As you are holding this sphere around the throat of this person, the block dissolves, and at the same time, the new belief system comes in. And so because of that belief system is contained within that sphere, you see. It contains to dissolve the entire bubble, the whole domino effect. It contains to go back to the root cause. It contains to take out everything else and to bring in the new belief system. Here's another bipyramid, for example, that's all around the chest area. And again, we observe more and more things dissolving, and the new belief system just appears, you see. And so I think there's another one. Okay, here's the last one. Same thing, you're holding the shape, you are sensing the color, the size, the dimension that is required exactly at this time. And as you hold this shape, you hear me say in the healing session, hold the shape. You are reprogramming, not only clearing, but bringing in the new information. It reprograms on contact. So very cool stuff. All right, so now here's you in the healing setting. Here's Bob again, good old Bob. And we are focused on our own spirit self. We do not begin a session until we are clear. We already have our agreement that's getting a little bit more full and more detailed. We are very clear. Once we are very clear, we have listened to the client's information. We merge with their spirit self. We begin to tune into their higher frequency to avoid any of our own and their own human mind interpretation of the problem. And then I will bring in the connection. If you notice, in this session, I am bringing a cylinder connection only around the client. In fact, every time I bring a connection with you guys in all the sessions, we are doing geometry. The shape, when I tell you visualize a sphere of light that's this big, that is blue, that's white, or what have you, coming in through the head, the top of your head, through your shoulders, and this and that, it is one particular vibration. And if I made it a little bit larger, a little bit smaller, it would be a different vibration. So you guys have been doing geometry if you've been doing the connection, and if you've been sensing the size of the sphere or the cylinder or what have you, then you have already started the process, okay? So in this particular case, I feel that to have the perfect connection, Bob is needing that size cylinder to feel connected. Of course, please don't misinterpret this image by thinking that you are not connected. Of course you are, but you are already part of the connection. And so now that you are connected, you begin to feel, because that's how you are going to retrieve information. And you feel that you're going to start with a little bit of color. I feel anxiety, so I focus on the area that really, really needs the color, and here comes the color. This is from before. We're putting all of the tools together, and then once I feel that is resolved, I go back to my feeling. What is the next layer? The next layer that needs to be clear, that's taken me all the way to the root cause. I feel some fear about the future or what have you, and I feel it needs an orange, small sphere of orange light, and then I direct my attention and of course the client's intent to the color and the shape. And when that's done, I focus again, and I notice that I have to clear a belief system through ask and intend. I have to honor that, not because I just learned geometry that I want to use geometry. You are in the moment, really feeling what the client really needs. Repeat after me. I ask and intend to release my belief system, what have you. That's clear. Breathe in, breathe out. And then I feel that now in order to reprogram the new belief, I need a pink triangle to hold it, and that will do it for this particular client. It was a little bit too fast in this slide, but you get the message. All right? So I believe that's the end. Yes, correct. Okay, that's the end of the explanation. So I'm going to, let's try to do as many questions as possible so that we can also practice, and we have all these volunteers. So let's begin with anybody who has a question. Let's begin with a question so we can do some practice. Go ahead, Teresa, what's your question?
My question is about the shape of the energy field. Can it be different and unique for each individual? Because when I focus on my energy field, I'm seeing a torus with a vortex in the middle, and then the same with the Earth, and the same with the galaxy. It's all a fractal, and then the universe.
Sorry, what is it that you see?
Sorry?
What shape do you see? You said when you...
It's a torus with a vortex in the middle.
Okay.
It's a torus shape.
Yeah. Okay. So...
with a vortex in the middle.
Okay. If you have...
Like a donut.
Yeah, okay. So you're seeing just the, I understand, but everyone, if you have a human body, therefore you have a human energy field that looks like this. So in addition to this, though, don't forget that you are not just human, right? You have spirit energy and mind energy, and you have these other additional energy fields, but the human energy field is all going to look pretty much the same, because that is the form. You understand that the geometric shape of your energy, of the human energy field, your physical body, has to do with your cells. If you have a normal human cells and normal eyes, normal hair, normal blood and normal heart or whatever then you have a normal body. Therefore, I mean normal, you know what I mean by normal, typical, let's say. Therefore, the energy field, the shape of the energy field is just an extension of what's underneath it, you see. And so that's why that part is going to be the same, but beyond that, of course, everyone's going to look different. And it's very difficult anyway to see the spirit energy field beyond this. But what you're saying, you're probably seeing the access point, you're probably seeing the point where all of the energy field connect, and you have a feeling that that's your energy field, but it's not. Does that make sense? You're seeing the connection of the three energy field. That's why it gives you that illusion.
So that vortex point, that's the connection.
Yeah.
That's the 0 point.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so the idea is, folks, is if all your cells of all the cells of all, if we start from here, have all maintain their proper perfect shape at a molecular level, then by extension, then that organ, it has a perfect shape, right? And by extension, the organ has a perfect shape, therefore the body has perfect shape, therefore your energy field has a perfect shape. Does that make sense? Go ahead, Isabel. You have a question?
No, sorry, Caroline.
Oh, okay. All right. Your hand was up. All right. Daniel, let me see. Daniel, you have a question, but you don't have a mic. Okay. Daniel, I have a question. Can the geometric shapes mean different things to different people? I mean, of course, you can associate your own projection of how this may feel to you. For example, I don't know, some people feel that the sphere does a certain thing over another. But what we're going to do, in fact, we're going to experience these things on our own body, on our own organs, so that you can feel for yourself what each one should be like. Okay, Isabel, your hand's still up. Any other questions? Come on, folks, this is the time. Questions, raise your hand. Or let me see who else. Laura. Go ahead, Laura. What's your question?
Yes, hi. My question is about the planetary grid. In the first lesson, I think it was, you told us that the Earth shift was bringing a new planetary grid, a hexagonal one, whereas at the moment it's pentagonal.
Yes.
Does this mean that our personal grids, our personal energy fields are going to align on this galactic, etc.?
Yes, so I think you got a little bit cut off there, but yeah, the question is, of course, that's the idea. The planetary grid that is coming in, this is more part of the other class, but you know, just for you to understand in terms of healing as well, the planet is going to have because it's made with chemical components, right? It's made with iron and silica and whatever. So it's made with all of these elements at the atomic level that have a shape. Then by extension, you put a bunch of those, millions of those together, then the Earth has a shape. If it has a shape, then it has an energy field that has a shape. So we talked about the new grid system being aligned with the galactic system and the universal structure. And so, of course, this is to allow to become coherent. That's what's happening, is that the new Earth grid will become coherent with the rest of the universe, and by doing so, the human energy field will be able to connect all the way back to the core in a much easier way. That is precisely what's happening. So the reason why our own physical energy field has been so distorted is because the Earth grid system was distorted already. So, but when we realign with the new Earth grid, then also our energy field is going to change, and by extension, our organs will realign. By extension, all our cells will realign. That's why, in terms of healing, it's going to be very easy and very, very quick to heal. Because you see, the cells are going to recognize the structure they're supposed to have, because it's going to be supported by the bigger structure that contains it. Do you see? This is very important. So you're down here, you're the little one down here, and you have all of these other structures supporting you. But if this structure above you doesn't support you, it cuts you off, then you don't know how to align yourself. You don't know the shape that you're supposed to be. Does that make sense? That's why our cells are a mess. They cannot find their coherence. And that's what the new grid system is going to do. All right? All right, go ahead, Yasmin. What's your question?
Yeah, just a quick question to clarify, because you showed us these different shapes with colors, but the colors that are contained within the geometrical shapes are specific to the shapes, different than what were showing us last week with the different lights.
I'm sorry, what, say that again, I didn't understand. Can you speak a little louder also?
Okay, yeah, so my question is, so last week we saw lights.
Right.
This week we're seeing shapes.
Yes.
The shapes you're showing us, it's not just like an empty shape, it has a color also.
Yes, of course. So you can have, so sometimes, for example, you have this sphere, but the sphere could be hollow. I mean, it doesn't have to be contained with anything. Usually it contains something. So sometimes it contains a color. Sometimes I tell you, imagine or visualize a plasma-like texture. Remember, sometimes I tell you it contains a material or a fabric that's kind of like a hazy or dry ice or what have you. That what is inside is not necessarily always light. So sometimes it's light, sometimes it's another type of material, sometimes it's just empty. So this is just an example about the color, the fact that it contains color. Make sense?
Right. Yeah, the light will be connected specifically to the shape and what's needed, the vibration needed at that time.
At that time, exactly. So maybe at this particular time, this person needs a sphere that's hollow. So, but the sphere, the edge of the sphere, let's say, I'm going to say, visualize a golden sphere, right? But there's nothing in it, But sometimes I'm going to say, visualize a golden sphere filled with blue light. Well, that's a different thing. You see? All right, very good. And anybody else? Okay, Kim, what's your question?
Hi, this is along the same lines that Yasmin was talking about, but in many of your meditations, you talk about how the shape is filled with the light too, because that's important. And then also, sometimes I've noticed the shapes are actually moving or rotating, and that matters as well.
Of course, we're going to talk more about this as we advance in the course. I'm just beginning to introduce all, the different aspects of this healing method. Like I said, it's multidimensional. So we're going to keep advancing and add more information as you get comfortable and get used to using all these things, and especially moving from light to intent to color to geometry to what have you. So once you kind of start to get used to it, then we're going to go into more specifics. And of course, as your agreement gets more detail. So part of these details that we will continue to add on is, for example, the rotation. Now, in addition to this shape, for example, this particular person at this particular time for this particular block needs a sphere that is 7 feet in diameter, let's say, right? So in this particular time, in order for me to clear this particular block, I need to spin this sphere clockwise, maybe very, very fast at a certain rate. Now, of course, you may not be able to identify, the rotation speed or what have you, but you have a sense of how fast it's supposed to go. So if I spin it clockwise for 5 seconds, it's not going to have the same effect as if I spin it counterclockwise. You see? So all of these things, sometimes the cylinder, usually it's in a cylinder, the cylinder, if I, instead of spinning it, I may, as if you are in a salt shaker, I can just shake it up and down. That's going to create another effect as then spinning it. Sometimes, for example, I'm going to shake it up if the block is stuck somewhere. You know how if you have in a salt shaker, you have the salt kind of a little bit moist and it's kind of all stuck to the bottom of the salt shaker, and so you have to kind of loosen it up. That's exactly what the effect does of shaking it up. So all of these geometric shapes also imply that they could be not only the size and the proportion of them changes, but also what are they filled with and how are they moving. But like I said, for now, this is just let's keep it quite simple and get used to using all these things, and then as we continue to advance, I will share with you a lot more details. So we're going to leave it at that for this class. Okay, so let's begin with the Henry has something to say. It seems to me that healing is happening all the time we are on Earth, because if someone experiences perfect physical geometry, divine sun energy alignment in a particular experience, it does not guarantee permanent perfect healing of the body, it seems. I'm not sure I understand, but I think we may be talking about two different things. The healing happens when you are, for example, you go in the wrong direction, if there is such a thing. For example, you eat really, really toxic food or materials and things like that. So you're accumulating, you're adding information into the cell that has a hard time maintaining its shape, meaning remember, it's made with oxygen. It's supposed to have a ton of oxygen, but you keep giving it a material that has a lot of sodium, for example. And so instead of it be, let's pretend this particular cell has to have one of each these molecules. Of course, it's a lot more than that, but let's pretend, right? And you keep giving it sodium over and over and over and over, and you don't give it foods that have has oxygen. Well, before you know it, the balance of this cell is going to be off, because the molecules of the chemical components that make up the cell have already a shape, then the cell is going to change. If you give it a bunch of cubic faced items or elements, such as things filled with sodium, and it's supposed to be hexagonal, well, then eventually your cell is going to start to look different. Does that make sense? And start to shrink. Have you heard, or I'm sure you know, why our liver shrinks or our stomach thing shrinks or swells, for that matter? Because you're adding not only information, but you're adding with the information the vibration and the shape. The shape comes in the form of chemicals that weren't supposed to be there. If there's only supposed to be 4 and now there's like 500, then the cell is you're adding tiny, tiny little shapes that will distort the shape of your cell, and therefore, in this particular case, you have to heal. You have to bring it back to its original shape in that sense. But I think what you're talking about, when we arrive to a perfect alignment and we can maintain the perfect shape of our entire being, it doesn't mean like if you eat something wrong or go off a little bit, it's not going to kind of damage your whole structure, or you can quickly, because your whole structure is now supported by the earth structure and beyond, and of course, and you are summoning the energy coming all the way from the universe into your being and vice versa. Now you are supplying your human aspect and your human cells with the life force that all the way coming from the universe. Well, now you can pretty much maintain this shape and the shape of your cells. Even if you go off a little bit, you can just bring it back very, very quickly. And that's what's happening, you guys, with this new grid system coming into position. All right? So let's go ahead and do a quick exercise where we are going to experience the different shapes on our own body. We're going to I will guide you through this, and we're going to see what it feels like when you summon the frequency or the vibration of one shape or over another, and then we will practice on each other. All right, so here we go. Let's sit up straight for a moment, and your feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes. Begin to breathe in deeply through the nose, deep breath. Exhale through the mouth and quiet your mind. Breathe in again through the nose, deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. Quiet your mind, let go of the tension in your neck and shoulders. Quiet your mind, go to your heart center. We will ask to feel perfectly connected and aligned at this time. We ask to create a sacred space around our physical body. Focus on your heart and intend to see, feel, sense very accurately the effect of geometry on your physical cells. Breathe in through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, expand 360 degrees. Ask to merge with your spirit self and just relax. And now I'd like you to focus on one part of your body. If you are not sure, allow your guidance to just take you there. Only one organ or one part of your body. As you focus on this organ, breathe in through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, visualize that there is a cube, a very small cube, about 5 centimeters. Around this organ or inside this organ. Allow this cube to find its way exactly around the block that is contained within this organ, simply intended to be so. As you hold your focus on this small cube at the perfect place, notice how it feels. What is it doing? Just feel it. Observe what it's doing. Don't make it do one thing. Allow it to be. And now breathe in through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, replace this cube with a tiny cylinder, a long tube of light. This tube again is quite narrow. It's about 3 centimeters, like 1 inch, a little bit more. And it's going through the same organ at the same location. It is simply replacing the cube. How does it feel? Breathe in. As you exhale, now change that cylinder into a tiny sphere that wraps around this entire organ. Same organ, but you're wrapping around it with a sphere. This sphere is made with tiny filaments of golden light. The inside of this sphere is filled with very, very soft crystal-like energy. Just hold it there and notice how you feel. And go back to your heart and open your eyes. And I'd like to hear your comments now. This is a class, so I'd like to hear your experiences. Okay, Carmen, I saw your question. Okay, Susan, what did you experience?
I experienced the most of the fear, because I released a lot of fear. But with the cylinder, I felt a great comfort. And with the cube, I noticed it first going counterclockwise, clockwise, but I experienced no fear.
Okay, you're not very clear. You're not coming through very clearly. I think you said you felt that you released a lot of fear, and then with the cylinder,
No, I released a lot with this fear.
with the sphere. Okay, you released a lot with the sphere. Okay, very good. And what's the difference with the other ones?
The cylinder was very comforting.
Very
And the
comforting.
cube,
Yes?
I just noticed the rotation first, it was counterclockwise and then it was clockwise, but I didn't really notice anything with the cube.
Okay, so you noticed it rotating, but you didn't feel the effect. But the cylinder you felt was comforting, and that's probably because we were using this opening of the cylinder to, oops, Teresa, you're, uh-oh. All right, please make sure your dogs are out. We're using this cylinder to basically evacuate a bunch of blocks. So that's why you felt comfort and probably release at that particular time. All right? And who else? Could you please share so that others can benefit? Go ahead, Willie. What's your comment?
With the block, how do you call it? I felt like it looked dark and it felt like a grounding. It felt heavy.
Yes?
And then when you used the cylinder, I felt a lot of release.
Yes.
Also strong connection, although the cylinder was so small. A
Yes.
lot of light. And then with the sphere, I felt a lot of joy, and just as if the sphere was like a bouncing ball.
Yes, of course.
Up and down.
And you're right that the cylinder was like I said, I used the cylinder to evacuate a lot of the block. So that's what you felt. And at the end, in fact, what let me hear a couple of more people, and then I'll tell you exactly what I did. So Daniel saying he doesn't have a mic, but he only felt the cube, the cylinder. I didn't feel a little bit the cylinder and not the sphere. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine. But the point was, did you feel the different effects? In other words, you felt the cube, but what was it doing? That's the question. Because you have to kind of begin to experience yourself when you use these geometry. What are the different what is the feeling, the effects of these things on your body, so you know how your client is feeling? Go ahead, Teresa. What's your comment?
With the cube, I felt like it was almost pinpointing, locating exactly and holding the area that needed to be healed. With the cylinder, it felt like a flush.
Yes.
The energy was just flushing from top to bottom, and with the sphere, I just felt a lot of joy and comfort and healing.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I did. Let me see. Christina saying comfort with the sphere, the block slided away with the square. Okay. The square, the cube was a transmutation. Exactly. So that's exactly what I did. Let's see what Liz has to say. I felt the cube was rotating and cleansing. The cube filled with creamy blue and felt soothing. And the sphere was purifying. Yes, I know you meant the cylinder. Okay. So Henry real quick is saying, I did not feel too much from the organ, but rather my heart overwhelming as it's saying it's all right. That's the experience of that organ. I'm sure is okay. I think I'm understanding this. So from Henry, what we can learn is that sometimes you could be working on one particular organ. Let's say we did all this on your liver or on the stomach. In fact, I was working on most of your guys' liver, even though others were somewhere else. But you could feel if the client could feel the effect somewhere else. Why? Because all of the organs are connected and the bubbles are bursting in all different parts of the body. Remember, look, even though I'm working, for example, on this particular bubble, but as I'm releasing it through the cylinder, you're going to feel it maybe in your throat or in your heart area, because the thread, see, this is the strings are connecting all these bubbles together, and that's why the feeling could be somewhere else. Carolyn is saying the cylinder felt like a vacuum cleaner sucking. It was exactly what I did, and the sphere was very balancing. Exactly, and that's exactly what I did. What I did was I used the cube to zero in on where the block was in the liver. Like I said, most of you were in the liver, even though you may have focused somewhere else. And that cube was really reprogramming. It was kind of moving, shaking things up basically. It was like taking out things, moving things around. And then I used the cylinder to basically, like you said, the vacuum cleaner to evacuate all the information, meaning the belief systems, the emotions, everything, the toxicity that was inside the cube now, and was just leaving out like that. And then I used the sphere to basically just put it all together and bring it to closure. So that's how it worked. All right. Marita is saying the cube accelerated the pain, the cylinder was comforting, and the pain went away, and the sphere, lots of love. Exactly. That's confirmation that accelerated the pain. Why? Because we were digging in and bringing things up. That's what you felt. So very good job. So now you guys can see how we can use just strictly, go ahead, Georgia, just geometry to clear a block, a particular block, and finish it off. Now, by the way, the stuff that was taken out was a ton of information. I mean, this is probably a huge string with bubbles that probably you've been living with for 15 years. Go ahead, Georgia, do you have a comment?
Yes, I was. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes, I just wanted to say how I felt with these three shapes.
Yes?
To say how I felt with the three shapes.
Yes, go ahead.
With the cube, I felt that it was kind of clearing the area. It was going counterclockwise, and it was like it was clearing the area around. And with the cylinder, I felt that it had a lot of speed, releasing the area. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're right on.
Yes, and with the sphere, I felt that it was kind of soothing and stabilizing somehow.
Of course. We kind of finalized the effect of what we were doing. And so for those who felt two organs, that's the reason why. It's because, don't forget, the blocks are everywhere in many organs at the same time. And because we are using the, going to the root cause, we are following the domino effect, you see. And that's why you end up having feelings in different parts of the body. All right, so let's go ahead and begin with volunteering so that just we can have enough time for that. Susan was the first one to volunteer this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Susan, listen to her issue, and not because we just did geometry that it has to be only geometry. Let's be in the moment and see what does this client require. What I'm going to do also is I may open up the line and I may ask some of you to tell me what you thought the problem was or what you did, so that you also begin to practice. Where is Susan? Here we go. Begin to practice working on others and share your experiences. So go ahead, Susan, please tell us what the problem is.
The problem is I never feel really connected with others. I always put up a barrier, and I'd like to let go of the barrier and fully connect with others.
Okay, if you didn't hear clearly, the question, the issue is I never feel connected with others. I feel I put up barriers. So we're going to, now that we heard this problem, we're going to merge with Susan's. Where are you located, Susan? Just for out of curiosity.
Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona, very good. Okay, Susan, so in Tucson, we're going to focus, we're going to merge, we're going to create the tunnel of light and then merge with the spirit self, ask for the root cause, and then once we feel what the first root cause is, that what's going to take the first bubble to be erased or burst or what have you, do I need intent? Do I need color? Do I need geometry? And then let's compare notes. So here we go. Close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose. As you exhale, go to your heart center and begin with a clean slate. We're going to erase the information that we just experienced earlier, practicing on ourselves. We ask and intend to be very clear. Of course, we're assuming we've done the connection. We're assuming our agreement is in place. We breathe in. As we exhale, we extend our own spirit self and position our mind channels through a tunnel of light, travel through the grid in the most appropriate way, and arrive in Tucson, in Arizona, where Susan is. It's Susan's location, and we just wrap around and merge only with the spirit self aspect of this client. And as we connect, we go to our heart center and we ask, show me the root cause of this issue, why this client cannot connect with others, puts up barriers. What is the root cause? As you begin to feel the root cause, begin to feel also the most appropriate tool to use to clear this block. Here we go. Okay. Yasmin, what did you get?
I feel a lot of fear, as if she's holding back a lot, and something really frightening her, and she's resisting a lot.
Okay, but that's how she feels. What's the root cause?
I just see her very small and apart from others, but I don't know more.
Okay, that's fine. Keep working on it. Wendy, what's the root cause? I don't think you have a mic. Okay. John, what's the root cause?
Well, I got a flash of what seemed like something taking place in childhood, and then I found something to do with the fear of humiliation.
Fear of?
Humiliation.
Humiliation, excellent. And what would you do? What would you do to? Could you turn down your speakers, please?
Okay.
That's why you guys should have a headset. That's why, so we don't get the feedback. But what is the most appropriate method to reverse this block?
I think asking and intending to release the fear of humiliation, but
Brilliant. That's it. Now, where did the humiliation come from? That's very good, John.
it felt somewhere in one of the lower organs near. I don't know my organs very well. It's like around the stomach region.
No, I understand, but does she feel humiliated? Where did this experience come from, or those feelings?
I think something took place like in early childhood, less than 7 years old.
Okay, brilliant. You're right on the right track. Very good. Asking and intending, the sense that I am not good enough. And what else, Christina? What do you have? What do you got?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? I felt very strong, I felt a fear because of abuse.
Yes. Fear from whom? From what?
From a male energy.
Very good. Who is the female energy?
Is a father figure.
Of course. Of course. What is the most appropriate tool for this block?
I felt she needed red color.
Red color.
Heart, a sphere.
Yes.
And ask and intend.
Ask and intend, exactly. Definitely ask and intend. Very quickly, Carmen, what do you have? Carmen?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
I felt that she was sexually abused in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
What I saw, it was mainly by men, but women were there also.
Yes.
Betrayed her, or there were more people there.
Yes.
And for healing, I felt asking and intending, and also the color yellow.
Okay. Very good.
And then
go ahead.
And the cylinder and the sphere. I didn't feel like the cube was doing very much.
Okay, but that's quite a bit to all do at the same time. So you have to be more accurate, even though these may be all appropriate, but you can't be doing, you are doing, but you have to be focusing on the most appropriate tool at this particular time. Ask and intend, or, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, then I would say ask and intend, but also the color yellow is a very strong one.
Exactly. In fact, we are, you guys, you're probably now beginning to recognize how when I work with you, I keep you focused on a color and you're contained within a sphere or what have you, and you're saying ask and intend. So it's normal that you have all of these things going on at the same time. The color is giving you vibration, the shape is giving you vibration, but you are at this time focusing on the one thing that's going to just blow out this block. Now, this block, of course, has to do with, as a child, humiliation very much, but also being put down by the father. But what is more, what is kind of also difficult is that it was kind of supported by the mother, a huge sense of betrayal by the female as well. Susan, do you relate to that?
Very much, yeah.
Exactly. And so that feeling of, since you are a child, of you're not good enough, you're a failure, you are this or that, and being backed up by the mother is a huge blow to, to who you are as a child. And so it's almost like you have nobody to get help from, any sort of support. If your mother was going to be any sort of help, well, she certainly was behind your father in this. And there is also some physical abuse, if you can relate to that. It may be unconscious, I'm not sure, but it was definitely there, that kind of kept you feeling very small. And so that is the root cause, and definitely ask and intend, even though she should be contained within a supportive color or texture, but the ask and intend feels the most appropriate. So we're going to ask Susan to repeat, I ask and intend.
I ask and intend.
To release my deep, deep sadness
release my deep, deep sadness
and sense of humiliation
and sense of humiliation
that I have experienced as a child,
that I have experienced as a child,
continuously
continuously
from my father,
from my father,
having been betrayed by my mother,
having been betrayed by my mother,
feeling totally alone and abandoned
feeling totally alone and
by my brothers, sisters, and other children around. I am choosing to let go of this entire experience now
I'm choosing to let go of this entire experience
and replace it with a new belief system
and replace it with a new belief
that allows me to be free
that allows me to be free
and to begin to create a completely new reality
and begin to create a completely new reality
filled with joy and fun as of now.
filled with joy and fun as of now.
Breathe in. Exhale. Very nice. And now, of course, we've only done one release, and we took the one domino piece that's going to trigger the whole unfolding of this block. What does Susan need right now to kind of seal it, to put this, kind of lock this in so that the rest of the whatever's left over continues and for this to be completely resolved? Who's got the answer? Heidi, what does she need right now?
I think geometry.
Yes. What shape and what?
It's a multi-dimensional shape.
Yes.
Like a sphere. And yeah, I see a crystal-like color and gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that works. That works. And who else had what? Let's see. Valerie, what do you have? What does she need?
I also saw a sphere. I'm not sure of the color. I think I saw more of a crystal, like light blue color.
Okay, so tell the client. Go ahead, say, Susan, I'd like you to. Go ahead.
Susan, I'd like you to imagine that you're sitting inside of a sphere that is just around your body, maybe 1 foot around the outside of your body. And inside this sphere is a crystal-like light blue color, somewhat like a very blue sky color. And this is a very soothing, calming, peaceful color. And just let that color seep into your body, in through all of the cells of your body.
And just hold it there. Yeah.
And just hold it there.
Very good. Breathe in. Exhale. Tell us very quickly, Susan, what are you feeling right now?
I feel such relief. I feel joy. I feel like I'm forgiven.
I am forgiven. That's it. So there's still, the energy is still moving. But what we've done, we touched on the one, like I said, the one piece that will continue to unfold this entire block. And we're going to let her be, and she can tell us how we did next time. Pierrette, you're on. You're the next volunteer. Please tell us your problem. Here we go.
Okay.
Sorry, we don't hear you very well. Could you speak into your mic?
Well, my name
Not that clearly. Just try again. You know what? We don't hear you very clearly. So just go ahead and type in your problem very quickly so we can move. Hurry up, please. And we can begin to focus on the heart as Pierrette she's in Montreal. As she begins to explain the situation, we clear our consciousness from our energy field from the previous experience. We begin with a clean slate. And breathe in through the nose, exhale. And the client is telling us, I have a chronic problem with my eyes since 5 or 6 years, with my upper lids that from time to time become swollen and red. Okay, very clear, specific example. So we're going to breathe in, and as we exhale, we expand our mind channels and spirit self into the physical space of Pierrette in Montreal. We visualize, we imagine that we are there, and we begin to wrap around her spirit self. We merge with her spirit self and ask for the root cause of this eye problems with the eyes. Show me the root cause. And show me the root cause, and what is the best method to undo this block? Okay, Devi, what do you got? Are you there? Okay, maybe you don't have a mic. Marty, what's going on with Pierrette? What's the root cause?
What I'm feeling is it went to my throat, that she's not allowing the truth of something to be seen.
Okay. All right, very good. Let's see, who else got what? Go ahead, Mary Ruth. What do you got? Oh, maybe there's no mic. All right, folks. It's a little tricky, this one. Greg, you want to try? Greg? No? All right. Teresa, what's the root cause?
I'm not getting anything on this one.
Yeah, it's a little tough. This one is a little tough, and I'll tell you why. Let me see who else. Nobody's raising their hands. It's a little tough. Hans, do you have a mic? You want to say hi and tell us what you think it is? In English, please. No? Okay. Let's see. Come on, guys. Georgia, what do you got?
Well, I felt a lot of fear, and also the feeling that she's not noticed somehow.
Yes, yes. Sorry. You guys, yeah. Kim, what do you got?
her eyes tightly clenched, and then I saw them wide open. So I think she must have witnessed something in the past that was pretty horrible. I don't know if it was in this lifetime or not.
Okay, be careful. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Be careful not to interpret, because you are on the right track, and I can see where you're starting to interpret the information that you are getting, Kim. All right.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
She's clenching her eyes, choosing to not see.
Exactly. But you're interpreting also. Okay?
Okay.
Go ahead, Wendy. What's going on here? Wendy, you raised your hand. Okay, you guys, let's see. Go ahead, Mary. This is a tough one, I have to say. Go ahead. Mary.
Caroline, I'm not sure about this either, but could it be something prenatal?
Yes. That's why this is a little difficult. My dear Pierrette, it's a past life thing where you drowned and you were in some sort of very, very thick water. It's like, I'm not sure, how to describe it, but it's like it's filled with toxic stuff, algae, things. So you fell from a boat and you were basically holding on to your life. So those who said past life, those who said shock, were right on. And what happened was, in that moment, Pierrette, you kind of had a belief system that if you could only see, then you can save yourself. And so you're kind of struggling because there's all this debris everywhere and everything. So basically you could not see. And when you opened your eyes, they burnt like crazy. And so that trauma is coming back still into this life because you created a belief system that if you cannot see, it's a very, very serious thing, and you cannot save yourself. You cannot achieve salvation. You cannot in this, the way it applies to you in this particular lifetime is you brought this back with you with the belief system that if you cannot hurry up and see and understand everything very quickly, you're going to miss your own ascension, kind of a thing. It's like, I really, really have to push myself to see the truth, how the grid is opening, where, the connection, all that stuff. There's almost a panic that you brought with you from that trauma in the past life. And it's giving you this tremendous fear that your eyes, you are unable to see. And if you cannot see, there's danger that you're going to be stuck there forever. Makes sense? Because that's how you ended up in that past life. And so in this lifetime, it applies in the sense that you're terribly traumatized and concerned that you may be stuck down here forever. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, your mic is really not very clear, so I'm going to mute you again. But that's and what is the now usually this is a typical thing, you guys, that usually a past life trauma, the best way to release it is through ask and intent, but you don't have to necessarily make the client repeat it. Usually they want to finally know. It's one of those things where they really, really want to know how to finally get over it. So we're going to make Pierrette repeat because your mic's not working. I'm just going to make you repeat. So focus on your eyes. This is a very large trauma and shock. So focus on your eyes and say, I ask and intend to release the trauma, shock, fear, that I may never see my way out of here. From my past life, where I drowned in polluted waters, because I could not see. I am now choosing to erase this entire memory, this frequency, from every cell in my eyes, my eyelids, my sinuses, my face, my lymphatic system, drainage system, every cell in my physical body, and replace it with a new belief that I am seeing exactly what I need to move forward on my ascension plan, my exit plan from this human experience in this incarnation. I will be helped by my spirit family. I am receiving help right now. And I choose to create my new reality with this new belief as of now. Breathe in, exhale. And now I want to bring a sort of a cylinder. It's a pretty large cylinder, maybe 3 or 4 feet away from your body on either side. This cylinder gives you the feeling of connecting directly to the new grid and to the source, to the pure light. It's filled with white light. This is the tunnel of light that will stay with you as of today until you need it at your exit time. And so it is. Breathe in and exhale and relax. And tell us how you feel real quick. Okay, just type it in because your mic is not working. All right, folks. I know Wigard is next, but we've passed the time, so we are going to take you next time. Make sure you email me before the next class so that you're the first one to volunteer, okay? Let's do that. And then, folks, let's see, very quickly, people are seeing white, green color in the cylinder. Pierrette is saying, I feel great now. I feel wonderful. Okay, so Henry is asking a question. Is it wrong to be taking this course just to be in the energy without the goal necessarily to be a healer or heal our body? No, that's the description of this course. This is not at all for you to be a healer, heal others or yourself. I mean, it's really more for yourself because as you can see, you are expanding your consciousness, you are understanding how you are made, you're understanding how energy works, and you are bringing higher consciousness into yourselves and restoring the consciousness of yourselves. So there's really no particular purpose. You're perfectly fine. Pierrette Pierrette is saying, I understand why I am so afraid of water. See, there you go. It's because of this very, very traumatic drowning experience that you brought back with you. So now, Pierrette, I'd like you to stay in this cylinder and continue to focus on this beam of light, because that's kind of your new connection. Continue to focus that this is the new belief system, the new programming that is in place. But you see that in this particular case, the client also was needing to understand the very strange symptoms that just show up and all of that. And of course, she starts to feel it 5 or 6 years ago, when it's time, when the earth is changing, when there's all these things going on, where there's higher frequencies coming through, where everybody's ascending, whatever, to a higher frequency, higher level of consciousness. So she's because of this trauma where she was left behind, basically, she wants to make sure this is not going to happen this time around. So that's why it was important for her to bring back this experience. Very, very cool. All right, so also, let me see who else. All right, guys, so let's wrap it up here. You're very, very welcome. And like I said, we're going to continue with this practice, continue to practice on yourself, on others as much as you can. That's how you're going to get used to this. And what's going to happen is all of these things are going to become automatic. That's the idea. You're going to be able to switch back and forth very quickly eventually from ask and intent to color to geometry, and it's going to be so fun. But in the meantime, be easy on yourself, be patient with yourself. For those who are just starting, you know, in the beginning it's a little bit technical, but you will see that really this will become very, very fun and comfortable. And I will send you an email with more information. If you don't hear from me, it's because I'm working out some little details for you, so that you can connect on a forum and online chat and stuff like that, so that you can meet each other and continue to connect that way. And I will connect with you anyway live on the next class, which is very, very important as well. And we will take more volunteers at that time. So thanks for joining today. I hope you had fun.